Welcome to Gwent, a card game. I think it's classified as a collective card game, which is currently free to play and is in open beta, so it means like public beta. Anyone can download it. All you have to do is register and go play it. This is not a sponsored video, but it's one like with the Humble Bundle. I want to spread not message, but information about that something which I find either awesome or useful. So, Gwent is, for those of you that know The Witcher 3 and played it, or at least seen a bunch of footage from it, then you know that this card game is based off of a... I don't want to call it a mini-game. How about a feature of The Witcher 3? A card game that you could play against other characters, and if you beat them, you got their cards. Or, not their cards, you got a reward from them, and that reward usually was a card, right? I do not know much about The Witcher 3. I played The Witcher 2, but not The Witcher 3, so there might be a lot that I'm saying that maybe doesn't make sense or is not the truth, so pardon me if I'll say anything that is not correct. So as far as I know, this is a collective card game. You collect cards, you make a deck. Now, why am I making a video about it, about this game? It's because I want to first say what's different to the only other card game that I've ever played, which is Hearthstone, and may I say in advance that this is already a lot better than it's in beta. And the other thing is, I want to do a short tutorial video and short explanation video about what the game is, and I mean the features of the game, not just what it is, because you can Google card game right now and you will know what a card game is, but for Gwent I think it's a little more complicated than for other games. Alright, so first is, let's jump into the menu. First thing is that Gwent is a lot more user-friendly when compared to Hearthstone, right? It might change, but because this is beta, and the final product might look a different way. But as far as I'm concerned, or well, rather as far as I know, so far, it's pretty good, and I don't expect them to make any really drastic changes upon changing the game from beta to a full version, I mean complete version of the game. So first off is cards. Let's go to the card collection. So you got 3 buttons here. One to build your deck, second to view your collection, and this is where you craft the cards, and third is you can change like stuff about your character, etc. I mean, you can change the character you're playing, title, etc. I've never done that, I don't consider it important. But it's customization. Alright, so before I go into the deck builder, let's go into the shop. Now you got 3 buttons over here, one for card opening, I mean card tag opening. In here they're called kegs. Then you got a button for buying the card kegs, and you can open them in the shop right away, so you don't ever need to go into the open keg section. And meteorite powder, which is used for creation of if I transfer it to Hearthstone speech, golden cards. Golden versions of a card. So, what is interesting is that you gain meteorite powder per every game, or like per every 3 games, one of those 2 things. I'll go into that later, into the currencies you see. So the top right symbol is kegs. Now let's go into the keg menu. There is always that... There's also a short transition window every time you click one of these buttons. I guess that'll be either fixed or it will remain the same in the final version. So even though it's beta, you can invest... Fuck up, please. You can buy the kegs by using real money, but I do not want to do that, so I'm a free-to-play player. Shut the... Right, let's open a keg.
Won't see what wow inside.
So the difference between Hearthstone and Gwent is already in the card opening. So you... how do you call it? You flip the 4 cards that you are shown, and you continue, and for your 5th card you're offered 3 choices. It will show you how many copies of that card do you own, so you do not pick any more duplicates than what you can use in a deck, right? And the same applies if it was a legendary. So it happened to me twice that I opened the keg and there were 3 legendary choices. So you can, it's not like in Hearthstone where you just get 5 cards and that's it. If you get a duplicate, I think that you are offered replacement cards. Long story short is, you have a choice. You have some kind of control over what you get from the keg, and you can pick what you think will be more useful to your playstyle. So right now I kind of try to go with the Scoia'tael deck. So I'll pick this card because I do not favor Nilfgaard, which is this faction, or the Skellig, which is this faction. So let's pick that. Then it will show you the cards you got, and you can open the next one. Alright, so see, I got 3 copies of this, so picking a 4th one wouldn't do me much good, would it? So I can either take a neutral, brown in here is for neutral, or a card for Northern Realms. I never played Northern Realms, and this is a spell. This one is more versatile than you would want to think. So let's pick that. And let's go to the last one. Also, if you have noticed, the symbols on the cards before you flip them tell you what faction are these cards for. So these 2 are for beasts, right? And these 2 are for Scoia'tael.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
More.
I got 2 of those, I got 1 of this, and 1 Savage Bear. This is a neutral again, so you can fit it into any deck. I mean, put into any deck. But I think I'll take the Savage Bear as it's a really strong card. Alright, and that's how I did for the keg opening, right? You have some sort of control over what you get.
Customer.
Now, as to the collection, let's go view it. Oh, I jumped into hold up a second. Wrong button. Collection. Alright, so, here you got all of the factions, and also neutrals. Neutrals are the ones with the brown symbol that you can put into any deck. Some of them are pretty important, at least in the current meta, like First Light, which can clear skies or spawn a unit from your deck. I mean, summon a unit from your deck. But I'll get into that later. So let's go back. Oh, I am not master at manipulating in the menu yet, but how do I fucking... Oh, there we go. Alright. So, here's your... How many of them are? 5 factions plus neutrals. You got monsters, which are the kind of zoo, I suppose. I've so far played them, and it's very easy to make a board with weak minions, but there are minions that like consume other minions, and there are other minions that, when consumed, grant a special buff. Let's find a harpy, see? This is a harpy, and it spawns eggs. And when something like this consumes an egg, it gets an extra bonus from the egg. But that's not everything, the egg spawns something when it dies, so it's kind of zoo-ish, I think. And it's pretty aggressive deck as well. Alright, next one is... come on. Next one is Nilfgaard. This faction is about putting spies on your opponent's side of the board. I don't know much else about it, because it's usually about playing a lot of spies, buffing one card, and then making it stay on board with Combat Engineer. Or just using your opponent's special cards from their deck against them. Alright. Next one is... Northern Realms. Northern Realms, so far I have when I played against Northern Realms, it has so far been a combo-ish experience, because Northern Realms seem to have a lot of cards that buff each other, or summon the other cards of that type from the deck. And next up should be Scoia'tael. Scoia'tael are sort of disruptors. They rely heavily upon either buffing one card, or just disrupting opponent's side of the board, right? I think that's how it is. Don't get me wrong. If you know the Squirtle should work differently, then I'm just playing them wrong. Squirtle also, I think, are the only race in the game that have ambush cards. And those, when you play them, they're like a secret in Hearthstone, right? They trigger when something happens. Next up is Skellig. Now, Skellig is the only race in the game. It's like, a lot of these races are unique, but I think that there's some similarities between some of the races. That's why I say when something is like unique to the race. So Skellig is the only race, I think. Once again, if I'm saying it wrong, then pardon me. I think Skellig is the only race which gets bonus for discarding cards from their hand into the deck, right? Let's find a Skirmisher. Here. This is a card, when it enters the graveyard, so it's either killed or discarded, it receives a bonus +3. Why does it matter, you may ask? Well, it is because Skellig also has cards that bring cards from the graveyard back. Like this card, Priestess of Freya. You play Priestess of Freya, and if you discarded this, or if it died, you can bring it back from the graveyard onto the battlefield, and it will be 9 in power. Because it was in graveyard, so it got +3. So that's how many of these cards work. Skellig are the sort of buffers, you could say. Right? They got some strong cards, but they get even stronger if they enter the graveyard at least once, or if you place them next to an ally that's taking damage, etc. So, that's about all of the factions. I haven't gone through all of what they can do, so for example, Squirtle also have spies, but also Nilfgaard has spies, right? Not everyone has access to spies, but many do. Many. About, I'd say half of the factions do. Right. Let's go into the deck builder, to show what I mean. So here I have a few decks that I've tried playing over the past few days. I have a deck for beasts, which are the kind of zoo-ish. Then I have a deck for Skellig, which is the kind of buffers. And then I have a deck for the Squirtle, which are the kind of disruptors. I've also changed this deck to not be as I usually play it, but to be for demonstration purposes in a tutorial to show all the effects, because I know that I've tried looking for tutorials about 2 weeks ago, but I also know that I found only one tutorial, and that was for the Witcher 3 version of Gwent, not for the standalone card game version like this one is. This one is not like this one. Whatever. So first thing is... No, not first thing. Another thing. First thing was that there's difference between opening a card pack in Hearthstone and in here. Here you have some control. Second thing is, there is no health pool. There is no hero that when it dies, you lose, right? Let's go have a look into the single player. This is where you can earn the leaders. So the game has 3 tutorials that are pretty well explaining mechanics of the game, how things work, but there are a few things missing from them. But that's just my point of view, right? So you got basic mechanics, advanced mechanics. They're also voiced over, so if you don't like to read, then guess what? You'll hear it. You'll hear what you have to do, or the advices that the characters have for you. And so you got tutorials for the basics, then for the cards, and then for each one of... they're not tutorials, but they show you a kind of deck that a leader that is locked for you at the start plays. Once you beat all 3 of those challenges, you will unlock that leader. Right? So you test... You will know what that leader can do before you get to play them. The game kind of forces you to do it because there is, as far as I know, no other way to unlock the leader. But I consider it fine because you get a reward for doing those challenges and then you get the leader, which you can then change into crafting resource if you never will want to play that race, right? So at the start of the game, if I'm not mistaken, let me go have a look into the leader section. filters. There we go. And let's have a look at, for example, no. Trying to look at just a moment. Leader. Fucking okay, I'm owned. There we go. Alright, so when you start up the game, if I'm not mistaken, you start with one basic leader for every faction. And if you do these challenges that I've just shown you, you unlock the other two leaders. Right? That's what I wanted to mention. And it took me really long to get that together, I know. Now, back to the single player challenges. So, for example, if you go into the Northern Realms game, you start with Foltest, right? And a predefined deck. The point of this is, as I've already said, that you get to know other kinds of decks that you might encounter on the ladder, or at least in the Witcher quick match, I guess. Or it's called casual match, sorry. So these tutorials not only reward you, but you also get to know more about the game. There's one leader that I haven't killed yet, but whatever. I mean, unlocked yet. Alright, so let's go into a test match. I'll pick Francesca and then start battle. So as I've said, difference from Hearthstone is...
It is how I punish those who irritate me.
My folk have suffered much.
So, the difference between Hearthstone and this is there is no hero that when its health reaches 0 you lose. Second thing is, unlike from Hearthstone, both players draw 10 cards at the start of the game from their deck, and then they draw no extra cards until the next round begins. Witcher is divided into... Witcher is divided. The casual match is split into rounds, right? And it's a best of 3. So if you win 2, then you win, right? You win the game. I'm not very good at explaining this, so I'll try to make it simple and show off as many mechanics as I can. Great. Not great. Good. So at the start, a coin is flipped as to who goes first. Alright, so my turn is... You got 3 lanes. That's what I should explain first, so it's not as confusing as it was to me at the start. In the game, both you and your opponent have 3 lanes, and on those lanes, you have to play or place cards. Here you can see what lane can a card be played on, right? So you see the Dwarven Skirmisher. He has a tag dwarf. The tags are pretty important as well. Now you see the little catapult symbol? That means you can only place him in the catapult line. Then you see the archer symbol, and the archer can only be played in the archer line. Mahakam Guard can be played only in the melee line, however there are exceptions. See the healer? The symbol means it can be played in any line, and this symbol, the red eye, means it's played on opponent's side of the board. So let me go ahead and play Dragoon, which has an effect, and it's placed on the siege line.
Onward, Freihead!
Now it's my opponent's turn. So the opponent placed something that can be placed anywhere, right, on any lane, as you see the symbol, but he decided to play it on this row, so that means he has some intentions of buffing it later on. So what I think would be best for me to do is either try to kill it fast with the Skirmisher, or play another Dragoon to have faster hand buffing, right? So I'll go ahead and play another Dragoon.
Peace with humans? By thus!
What will he do now? There he goes! He played a card that has a sort of battlecry effect. Difference is, in Hearthstone, battlecry triggers only if you play something from your hand. But in Gwent, these effects that are sort of battlecry trigger when the card enters the board. So that means when it's pulled from graveyard or fabricated from nowhere and just put on the board, right? That's the difference. So, as to explaining the power, there are no leaders, there are no heroes, so you cannot lose by your opponent playing aggro and hitting you in the face. This is the leader of the deck you picked. The goal of the round is, and you can see it's round 1, because neither of us have a crown. Goal of the round is to overpower your opponent. Now, what I did not understand at first is the round ends when both players run out of cards or when one of them passes, right? So that's first thing. And the second thing is, here you can see the power. Power of each card, like the power it gives, is shown at next to, above the symbol on which lane can it be played. On which row, it's not a lane. On which row can it be played. And the goal is just to overpower your opponent up to a point of where they pass, or up to the point of where they run out of cards and you have more power. So let me go ahead and play another card.
Never had your kneecap broken!
Now, let me go ahead and play the Archer. See, I've disposed of one card, and it did not go anywhere, it just went into the graveyard, right? So if my opponent was Skalik, then he could bring that card back, but he is not, so that card is there probably forever. Now, as you can see, my opponent passed, and that is because I got considerable advantage in, I got a head start in the power on board. And that is because Scoia'tael have pretty good deploy effect cards, right? So like the Skirmisher. It deals 3 damage to an opponent, and if the opponent does not die, he boosts himself. This one does 4 damage, and long story short is, my opponent decided that it is not worth for him to invest any more cards because it would be harsh to get on the board while I already have this much of a lead. You can see I have 7 cards and he has 8 cards. So all I have to do, I can continue to act, but all I have to do is just pass, and I will win the round. However, as you can see, I have a spy, and this is a good time to explain what a spy is for. So the problem is, you can play spy only on opponent's side of the board. And when you play the spy gives them the bonus power, right? So right now I'm giving my opponent power in exchange for an effect. The effect is, if I play the mercenary, which is the spy's name, on opponent's side of the board, he draws me 2 spell cards from my deck.
Everything all right?
See? Now I pick one which I can play, and the other one will be shuffled back into the deck. This one is a weather effect. But I've already won the round, so I want instead something that I can use to buff my hand, right? So I'm taking this from the deck, and I have only 1 copy of it. So this is the only copy I have. Now I'm gonna pick it and buff one thing in my hand by +2 and give it shield. The +2 is good. More important is the shield. Next time this card would be targeted by a damaging deploy effect or a spell, it will not affect it. And there was a strategic play to doing this, because the more turns I keep this going on, the more the Dragoons will buff my hand. Although I should not overextend, because I'm already 2 cards behind my opponent. So now I'll pass, and as I said, I've won because I have more power than my opponent has. Now begins round 2, and this is where my opponent needs to pick up the pace or he will lose. Right now, I only have to win 1 more game, 1 more round. And my opponent has to win 2, so he has to invest more than I do. And based on the previous round, whoever won starts on the next one. So I've won the previous round, so I'm starting on this one. And I have no good cards to play. All of my cards in the hand except Rally, are good cards that are good when there is an enemy or an ally on the board. All of them. But I have neither, so I will go ahead and play my leader. You can play your leader once per all of the rounds, and that's usually 3 rounds. You can play your leader once per 3 rounds. What the leader does is they add you the power, right? They add you the power that is written on their card, and then they have the effect. So the leader, Francesca, has power that I can change 3 cards from my hand, which is currently very good because my hand is reactive or aggressive, but my opponent didn't start, so I would have awkward turns. So I'll change out this card. Dragoon is back, that's good, and I'll change First Life. And Mahakam Defender is very good as well, and it's another mechanic I can show off. So here goes my leader. My turn has passed, and now the opponent put down another tower. So, I'll go ahead and play another Dragoon.
Onward, Fryhead!
My opponent just played a card that is a spell and buffs one creature on the board by +8. Here. See, it's a bronze spell that boosts a unit by 8. Now what I will do is I'll play the Mahakam Defender. It can be played only on the melee lane.
Mahakam!
See?
Checkmate.
Crap. His leader power is very strong. Anyway, what I wanted to explain is... Do you see the little text? Resilient. If you've noticed, when the previous round ended, everything from the board was put into the graveyards, right? Resilient means that when a round ends, it stays on the board. So if he had not locked the dwarf, he would stay on the board, and if I buff him a lot, then he will stay on the board and he will be buffed a lot into the next round. So I will have a major boost in this and also a major start in the next round. But he locked him, so he will not stay on the board anymore, and the Dragoon will not boost anything in my hand anymore. But I can still boost those cards. Question is, do I want to do that? I will, for the demonstration purposes of showing off card abilities. Alright. Oof. This is harsh. Okay.
Not much left of that world.
Now, let's talk about the rarity of cards, because here it starts to make a impact on the game. You might be wondering why I did not kill his leader. That is because the leader has Golden Edge. See? It's a gold card. Gold cards are immune to all effects except one spell, I think. And that's a spell that causes it to become a silver card. You see, these are silver cards and this is a bronze card. Only Golden is immune to everything except one spell, but the rest can be damaged, so I cannot kill his leader and he cannot kill mine. Now, what can I do? Also, there are some mechanics that work with the rarity of card, like the Spies of Scoia'tael. You see, the Spy over here will draw me only bronze spells from the deck. No silvers, no golds, only bronze. So that has an effect when you build the deck as well. So right now, it's a pretty bad thing to do, but I will go ahead and play Evelyn, which is a legendary, in other words, gold spy. And this spy is very good because it draws you all the bronze spells from the deck, and you choose one. The rest is shuffled back, and the one that you've chosen is played twice.
Nigh is the time of the white frost.
So right now I can pick one spell that will be played twice. If it's a targeted spell, you can choose where it will be targeted. If it's random, like this one, you cannot choose where will it go, but it will be cast twice. So right now, what I can do is damage his side of the board by 12. That is what this spell will do. It will deal... There are 3 enemies that can be targeted by spells and damage effects. So this will deal 6, but because Evelyn does it twice, it will deal 12. Or I can go ahead and rally, which will summon 2 minion cards from my deck. Or I can go ahead and play Weather. Weather is an effect that stays on the row it's applied to until your opponent uses something like Clear Sky, which removes weathers. So for the purpose of demonstration, I'll go ahead and play the Biting Frost, which is a weather effect. So
To arms!
here you can see, never mind. I thought it would be shown. Effect of the weather was, upon your opponent's start of the turn, all units on that row take 1 damage. All units that are not golden, right? They're immune to any effects. Right, so my opponent played a pretty strong card. The card has armor, right? Point is, Frost deals damage to units' power. So I'm currently decreasing his power, but he is quite ahead, and he played a card that does not lose power when it's damaged 3 times, because it has 3 armor. 1 armor absorbs 1 damage. So what I can do is try to even, and I probably will have to.
We ought to help one or the other.
Now he has to play a card.
Tridem!
He just played a card, but it is another one with armor, so Frost will not be as effective. Why I did not want to play this earlier is, this unit boosts 2 units to the right of it by a set amount when you play it, so playing it just above 1 is not as good. But for demonstration purposes I will play this one right here so it buffs the 2 of these, right? If I put it here it will have no effect. If I put it here it will buff them both. If I put it here it will buff just 1, so positioning very matters in this game.
Oh, my little A.
See? Now I've got a lead of 10.
Awaiting your
I
orders.
still have a lead, but I have no cards so I automatically pass.
Give me word.
And he has to play 1 more card or he will lose to the Frost. And he just lost because it was probably a spell. That was a short explanation. Let's try someone else. I mean short, longer explanation, but whatever. How about... this one. And I'll go ahead and pick Harold. Different leaders have different powers, so you should try out all of them.
That's Thai cellmate tower.
To arms! All of
And you
you!
should try out which one fits you the best. I haven't edited this deck in a while, so it might suck, but again, demonstration purposes. Alright. So as said before, Skellig is about buffing their own things and bringing them back for the graveyard. Here I have a legendary that lets me draw 2 cards and then I have to discard 2 from my hand, right? But I have one thing which I would like to discard, so I'll go ahead and play him. He also gives me 6 power when I do that.
Gods protect us.
Alright, so I'll go ahead and discard this because it has a bonus when I discard it. And then I'll go ahead and discard... I'll discard a Warcrier. Should probably discard this. I'll go ahead and discard a different card than the one I've drawn, because it has a powerful effect. Now it's my opponent's turn. Fuck. Oh good, it discarded... it ate the other one. So see, this is a card that interacts with graveyards, right? This card, when played, will destroy a random card from either player's graveyard and then boost itself. I've discarded, with this guy, I've discarded a card that had 6, now it's in there and it has 9, and a card that had 5. And he ate a card that had 5, so that's good for me. So next, let's go ahead and play the Uncrate Warrior.
We'll greet him with fire and iron.
And let's see what he plays. Okay, he killed my guy. Fine. I'll go ahead and play a legendary. Oh, I can also do a different thing, but I want to keep this as a combo card. You see, the green means that the unit is buffed above its usual health. What I can do, and if it's demonstration purposes, why not, is play this spell. It has two effects. You can reset a unit, your unit. Reset means return to basic health. So if it's damaged, it will heal it. If it's buffed, it will weaken it. And I do not want to buff anything of mine. He's gold, he cannot be buffed or damaged. So I'll go ahead and reduce opponent's ghoul to 1 power, because he got 5 for eating a card from my deck. Now he's at 1. This is a nightmare. This is a card that's silver, but it has a effect when damaged but not dead. I mean, when it's damaged but doesn't die. Let me go ahead and show you what can happen if you do not deal with such a thing and your opponent triggers it or eats it or whatever.
By Handel's axe!
See? This, when damaged, will spawn this. That's not very good explanation, I know. Let me go ahead and spawn another one.
By the rates of Morhog!
What I should obviously do is play this, because she deals 5 damage, so that would have spawned only 1.
I'd be the best and last.
Alright, so time to explain what Brave means. Brave is activated. You can mouse over the cards to see the text. So Brave means that the ability of the card will trigger if you are behind enough in the power when you play the card. Sorry, you see the chart. Its basic power is 6, and its Brave is +4. So if he had 10 power and he played short, it would not work, because the power would be equal. You have to have less for Brave to work. So if he had 9 power and he played a short, Brave would work, and he would get a bonus +4. Let's go ahead and play Siri.
How
Triss.
can I help?
Another one of those cards that have a pick 1 effect. That was not a good card to get from the deck. It does not synergize what I have. Can I do anything in here? Not much, turns out. I'll go ahead and play one of these.
We'll follow you always!
Just for the power. Fuck. See, this is the resilient effect. That means if I pass this round, it will go into the next one. And I think I will, because I cannot kill this. Here's an interesting thing. My opponent decided to tie. So that means both players get 1 point. So now we both have to win just 1. What you've seen the green effect was, Skalik has on most of their cards special effect. If they are in somewhere else than in your starting deck, when a second or third round begins, they get a buff +1. Let's go apply another weather. I mean the first one. It's another one in this video. So this is a weather effect that on opponent's start of the turn will deal damage to the lowest unit or units. If there were 2 charts with 4 damage, 4 health, this would damage them by 2. So it damages the lowest unit by 2. But right now I would want a weather that deals damage to the higher one, because this will stay for the next round. But I did not create my deck in such a way, because I do not edit this one, so...
Damn it.
Deck construction is part of the strategy in here as well. It's very important. Alright, let's go ahead and pray the Priestess.
Bow before modern Freya.
See, this is the card that I've discarded at the start, and it got some bonuses and now it's on 10. The other one is as well, because last round, after winning last round, or tying, it went into there as well and got the bonus. So right now I'll go ahead and play the Skirmisher.
Nothing like some overseas plundering in spring.
I need to deal with this. Never mind. I maybe have... Yeah, I have one. But whatever. This is one effect that Skellige has. It's a buffing. So at the start of the turn, it damages unit to the right, that means over here, right? By 1 and boosts itself by 2. My opponent can play his leader.
Why should I help you?
And because he played his leader, he just countered the weather. Remember, gold cards cannot be damaged, and that unit was subject to damage of the weather effect, but the leader cannot be damaged. So right now I have to play my leader, or we will both tie the game again. My leader's ability is wasted, but it's about the power of the leader that will be added to my side, and because of which I will win.
Up and at 'em, lazy mingers! You'll sleep when you're dead!
Oh, I forgot. It says damage a unit by 5, not only an enemy, so I have to kill something. And if I did not have this priestess over here, I would lose because I would have to damage this by 5 or this by 5. Shit, I still might. I just realized. Effect of the leader is, if that effect kills the card, I have to repeat it. I've just lost, I could have died. Okay, I'll show you what happens. I have to repeat it. I cannot click any of these because they're golden, right? See? Yeah, I just lost it. I could have died. So it's important to check before you do something, and also know what is in your deck, because there are cards that get something from your deck, and you need to know what is in your deck and if you want to play that something at the moment. Let's try playing against Nilfgaard. No, Northern Realms against the boost with Eredin. That'll be the last game of this, last demonstration game of this video with explanations.
Men of Kedwen! Attack!
You shall die, worm.
This is very nice to have. At least in single player. In multiplayer this would be a very weak combo to pull off. But anytime you pull it off, the thing about this card is, if you put 3 of them on the same row on the board, that means like 3 here, or 3 here, or 3 here, they boost themselves by 1 on the end of round. Right? The other effect is resilient if brave. So if you have less power than your opponent, this card will stay on the board when next round begins. Alright. My opponent starts first.
For you, my friend, always.
This is a pretty obnoxious card to play against, but whatever.
Death to the enemy!
I have to deny that. This is a unit that when you summon another ally of this type, just another copy of this card, and play it on the unit's row, it will... wait. Oh yeah, never mind, I read it wrong. I haven't played as Northern Realms yet, so I'm just finding out who do I want to play. So this card has effect that you can read along with me. When my opponent plays a card with 3 power, which is pretty low, next to this one, this card will summon another this card will create another copy of itself on bottom of the deck. That's over here. Ooh. I'll go ahead and try to stack my combo. Shit. Well, he just burned my combo with a card that destroys the highest unit or units. These two had the same power, so they got scorched, both of them. I cannot finish the combo anymore, so I'll go ahead and play. into the next round.
Nice mess you've got here.
This is a card that takes the spell effect Biting Frost from your deck and applies it to a row you want.
Semper Fi!
You see, my opponent played something that has the same power as these two when not damaged, and his deck size increased by 1. There, a spell buff was used. I'll go ahead and play out this card. He used the buff again. So now is the time to show how the Brave works. I know I said how it works, but to show it is different. So you see, this will do 2 damage to an enemy I pick when I play it. But if I play this card and I will still be losing on power, it will do extra effect. In this case, 3 extra damage, which is a lot. See? I still am losing after I played it, so now the Wyvern will do 5 instead of 2. There! And now his Brave is active.
Men of Kedwen, attack!
He's stacking like crazy. Alright, another thing is... Decoy. Decoy is a spell that takes a card from your side of the board, returns it to your hand, resets it, boosts it, and then plays it again, and its deploy effect will trigger again. What I can do, I can either play it aggressively, or I can play into the next round. I think I will play into the next round. This will spawn 2 eggs when I play it again. So, you must have a resilient card if you want something in the next round, or a card with Death Wish. Death Wish triggers when the round ends, and the Death Wish effect will go into the next round, on the start of the next round. So this elemental has Death Wish of spawning elementals. So when the next round begins, or my opponent kills this, I will get 2 extra things. And when my opponent destroys these eggs, or when next round begins, I will get 4 harpies. Which is pretty strong. So let me go ahead and demonstrate. I'll play out the rest of this round. I didn't need to do that.
Peace is priceless.
So now, next round begins and everything is removed from the board. But they have Death Wish. So their effects trigger, right? So now I'm starting with 16, because I had eggs, which as Death Wish spawn these, and Elemental, which as Death Wish spawns these, and my opponent didn't destroy any of them, so I got this to start off with, which is pretty powerful. So what I'll do is go ahead and play a Golden Spy. My opponent would have to try really hard to get rid of it.
Such a shame I must kill you. Thank not me. Thank my little egg.
Oh, I could have... never mind. So what I have here is a spy that gives a lot of power to opponent, as you can see. Remember, the power is given to your opponent, but it has 2 special effects. One is, I draw a card from my deck after I give my opponent that 10 power, and it will move cards next to it when I play it, excluding Goldens, right? But this spy has an effect. It will steal the highest unit on the row other than itself and put it on my row. So right now I will draw a card, right? And the succubus, the spy, will steal the spy back on my side and I will get plus 10.
I've nothing to lose.
Now I'll go ahead and play another harpy. And that's 1. Now the spy stays on your opponent's side of the board, so usually about the effect they have. And here she provided me with plus 10 power and extra card. That's good, isn't it? So that is some of the effects shown off. It wasn't much like a tutorial, but it was. I tried to explain some things in case you are new to the game and or you're considering to get it, but you don't know if it will be. You don't know if you could like learn all about the game in short time. I think this should get you up and running in case you watch the video to its end, which I don't think will happen, but whatever. So this has been Gwent. It's a currently free-to-play, collective card game developed by Project Red, which is studio behind the Witcher series, I think. Anyway, that's about it. Oh, you can also view the rewards you get. Oh, I forgot. So every day the rewards reset, and if you play about 3 games, you will get enough currency for a card keg, right? So in Hearthstone you get 1 pack every week. In here you get it every day. And you can see that every 2 rounds that you win, you get the extra resource. You can also get an extra card, which I don't know if I've ever gotten. So this one is for buying card kegs. This one is for creating normal cards, non-special versions, and this one is for special version with animations like that Radovid you've seen. Oh, and there's a milestone every X games, right? So here's 100 ore, here's 75, here's 50, etc, etc. It currently caps at 66. You also get level rewards and rank rewards and whatever. Alright, now that should be about it. And I'll see you in the next video, which should be from Warcraft. Unless I've forgotten something. I don't think I have. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed, or that it was a helpful video, because I've made it with such intention, so that it would be helpful or enjoyable and entertaining. Anyway, as said, later.